All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Going to do a public power hour today. Everybody thank Dawn. If you guys are here, hit the like button. Maybe YouTube will do something with the video. Probably not, but, doesn't hurt at the same time. Good morning. Yesterday we left the show and Bitcoin was kind of popping up a little bit. Get some people rolling in here. What's up, Katie? What'd you miss? Nothing. Dawn asked for live show. I started late today. Dawn's like, hey, live show? I'm like, sure, why not? Let's go ahead and do it. What's up, mobiles? Ed here. Nice to see you. Thanks, Ed. Litecoin is lagging. It is lagging, but it's better than Bitcoin Cash. I guess that's the best way to put it. They were kind of linked together in terms of market cap for a long time, and they've diverged here recently. So Litecoin proved to be the stronger one. All right, good morning, everybody. Public Power Hour. As a reminder, I do have the service on real-crypto.com, which I don't have pulled up here because I'm unprepared today. Pundi X. What's Pundi X doing? Which one is Pundi X? Is that... What's up, Terry? Doing a live show today, Terry. Also starting late, so... real-crypto.com. All that stuff. All right, let's get started. Okay, so BTC. Yesterday we left off and the market was kind of starting to move up a little bit. Pretty good volume stepped in, above average volume on the 2-hour time frame. Aggregation tool getting a little bit bullish. A little bit of stagnation on the overnight session, not much, but volume pretty low. One negative is obviously this prior 2-hour candle, a little bit of high volume, but we're just chilling up here for now. So we mentioned our momentum waning on Bitcoin a little bit, and lately we've been seeing a lot of random pumps, almost out of nowhere, very, very minor setups. Some out of literally nowhere, so no setups at all. Things just kind of pumping up, and that's makes it a very difficult trading environment, at least for follow through. If you're fortunate enough to be, watching some of those coins that are pumping, you can try to participate early on. But a lot of them stall out, and very few of them continue. So if you're fortunate enough to be in some of those that continue, consider taking profits rather quickly in this environment until we get a little bit more foundation underneath of us. Because right now our foundation is just being built. So yeah, Bitcoin moving up. In terms of follow-through day signals, we are still good, still no distribution days in this uptrend. So far, so good. Hopefully, it'll keep going. Last time we had a follow-through day here, it stalled out over here. We had another one in pretty much the same place, and we were watching for it, and it's been pretty good so far. No major pullbacks, but we are waning on momentum side. We have RSIs diverging, also hitting overbought on the daily time frame here. So pullbacks at some point is definitely on the table, but they just haven't been able to pull it down. A couple days ago, we had that candle, and now we have another slightly higher high and another divergence. So the divergences continue. At some point, we'll get the pullback. Just it's hard to say exactly when. Look for those lower highs to start developing, which really so far that's not a lower high. That's a higher high, higher, 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 higher. That's not really any highs in there. Higher, 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 higher. And most of our lows have been higher as well. So until that changes, we're going to stick with this trajectory, even though it's definitely lost some momentum, similar to this action right here. So that's Bitcoin doing okay. Volume seems to be curling back down. We were hoping it would stay elevated. It appears that we're just going to be around this volume level for the foreseeable future, probably. Until we do break out, things are still looking good for that all-time high breakout. I do still believe we're headed towards that direction in BTC, and altcoins have had a couple of really good runs in them, 2 or 3 actually, maybe even 4 depending on what you want to consider a good run and how far I want to go back, but a lot more choppy lately as huge runs have turned into big bases. All right, next up is Ethereum. So if you guys don't know the schedule of the show, we go through the top 20 in USD, and you can see the list on my screen right here. It stops at total market cap. So these are all the coins we're going to go over. Somebody mentioned Dogecoin. We will go over Dogecoin, Katie, right here in a little bit. And then we go over coins in the newsletter, and there's only a few of them, 3 USDs and looks like 6 BTC. And then whatever else you guys want to talk about. We've been doing a lot more looking into DeFi and some yield farming stuff, so if we have time, we'll do that later. And we'll also be doing ecosystems and stocks and probably new Binance coins as well. So, all right. Let me do my timestamp for. Oh, yeah. Also, everything's timestamped after the show so you can revisit it. Okay. So, Ethereum popped up above the 3643. So, triggered the alert kind of early yesterday. And then on the overnight session, really came back in elevating volume. Yesterday, we had lower volume, and that broke to a slightly elevated volume. And obviously that candle's going to get, that line's going to get moved. Oh, what's up, Ellie? Someone overslept Tesla? Yeah, this one is public. This one is public. Overslept oh, me? Well, I was on there. I was doing stocks for like 40 minutes. Actually got pulled into something else, and I had no one on the stock stream for a while, so and then you didn't show up by like 7:10. So, nope, it was up there, dude. I'm telling you, I was there. YouTube finally banned me. Well, good for them. Good for them. No, I think one person, maybe two people popped in. I wasn't talking a lot, which probably didn't help my case. But anyway, if some of you regulars don't show up there, then sometimes I just bail, because why am I sitting there looking at a chart when I feel the pressure to talk? Anyway, just hit me up in Slack, bud. Just hit me up in Slack. Anywho, yeah, so Ethereum up 3643. Rallied nice. A little bit of elevated volume, which is good. Daily volume is still declining. Today should be okay. Maybe we'll get to average volume, but you can see average volume declining on the daily. And I mentioned a little bit ago, we're just forming these bases. Now, Ethereum, same with Bitcoin, same with a lot of some of the better coins there, kind of getting right towards highs. That's why I'm not giving up on the bear market, even though we're not rocking, because as we mentioned a couple weeks ago, we only move up in the market in a very generous trend about 39% of the time, at least on Bitcoin's chart going back however far back we went. So it doesn't move up all the time, but it doesn't mean we're not bullish. But yeah, great move for Ethereum. And the ETH BTC chart, we have that later as well. That's looking like a nice reversal. All right, next up is Hex. This is the first. I just added Hex the other day to the top 20 list because it does have a huge market cap, and it actually triggered kind of a breakdown signal yesterday, breaking one of my very long-term trend lines here, and breaking down out of this consolidation as well. We did find some support. So, ideally we'll just chop sideways through this, and then we can move on with an uptrend. But right now, not much going on with Hex. All right, next up is Cardano. Cardano is still in the middle of its really big range, and it really hasn't done anything in here. So if you guys don't remember, Cardano, they did the fork, I think here on September 12th, somewhere in this area, and it didn't really do anything. And then they had an event, and then it didn't do anything, and now it's just going sideways. It's not that, I don't think it's that bad, Ellie. I think that, the ability to hold up above this level, the basically 213.52, which is pretty close. That's the $2 level. I think this is 20. That's that alert level, I think, right there on the way up. So this does not correspond to this line, but it's holding support, and it's doing okay. Lower volume here, so as long as we're trudging along there, it'll probably move up in time with everything else. Yeah, it hasn't been doing the best. It needs to build. It needs to build up. Right now, there's a huge, and really 2020, 2021 has been DeFi. And Cardano, now that it's live and has smart contracts, it's going to be building a DeFi ecosystem. I know it has a few things loosely there, but I don't believe there's any major interest. So until it gets a major project, Cardano may just languish around. That's one of the reasons why FTM has been so strong lately, is it's kind of in vogue right now with the yield farmers. And this one just, blah, 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 really hasn't been doing anything. It's not breaking down, though, so that's a good thing. But if it can't get some of those big projects, I don't know. It may go the EOS route. It may go the EOS route. I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying if it can't, it's got to get its act together. And now that it's live, it's got no more excuses, really. All right, next up is BNB. And BNB has been doing okay the past couple of days. Really good volume stepping in, kind of moving up here. I did start getting paid out. I was doing that prediction market on PancakeSwap, and that was kind of fun. Basically doubled my BNB on there, so that was okay. Wasn't a lot, but it's what I had. Anyway, so nice little uptrend here. Great volume aggregation tool, firmly bullish. For those of you don't usually that aren't in the power hour, the volume aggregation tool kind of shows the buying and selling pressure based on volume in each of these candles going back about 20 periods. So very bullish there on the volume aggregation tool. Stalling a little bit as we get towards these other recent highs, but nothing really too bad. Oh, thanks, Ben. Ben, smashing the like button. Yeah, I should say that more often. Guys, hit the like button if you're enjoying the content, if you're having some fun, if you're learning something, or even if you hate me, smash the like button. The downvote button's broken today, I think. So nobody downvote me. I'll start to cry. All right, next up is XRP. A little more volatile, was bullish, a little under a week ago, but it's just been pretty stagnant. All the news going on with XRP in terms of the government suing them, that's died down a little bit. Everyone's waiting for them to just get it thrown out. So maybe we'll get a pump based on that, but not much right now. The self-promotion here is amazing. Yeah, I'm holding a self-promotion course. No, I'm not. I'm not very good at that. All right, next up is SOL. SOL bouncing up actually has a cup and handle feel to it here, which is better than it's looked in the past little bit. Let me throw an alert here at the 155.52. Sol was our de facto leader. I think obviously Sol is a great project, and I do think that it is highly relevant to the crypto market cycle right now. It's just been languishing, and I think, it being a leader and it languishing and the market languishing shows that it's being a leader. But you do have a small cup and handle here, and I did update the alert on that. So if you guys don't know, we do have an alert system that pretty much all these numbers on all these charts were alerts at one point or are current alerts. So I just updated that. Those are served through our Slack chat room. So 155.52 for Sol. Not a bad cup and handle. It is a higher low here on SOL. Generally declining volume. So not in a bad spot. SOL also really didn't have any major sell signals. All of our classical sell signals were not here on this particular chart. We did have one or two less important sell signals, but none of our major ones stepped in. So I still have a lot of good hope for Sol. It's a great ecosystem and pretty good technology, and it's working. Unlike Cardano, which Sol is very new compared to Cardano, and Sol is already working, already moving money around. So good for Sol. So 155.52. That would be a minor breakout. I mean, very minor. You look at all this price action. This is a little baby thing, but it is a small cup and handle. And sometimes when you see some patterns, it leads us to stuff like this. This one didn't work out. This one did okay. This one didn't work out. We'll see what this one does. A bit of daily symmetrical triangle on Sol. I don't know if it's a symmetrical triangle. There's a trend line here. Let's see. Actually, you know what? I'll just borrow this trend line. Guys, remember to recycle your trend lines, by the way. Just recycle your trend lines because, nature. Yeah, usually, I really, if this had a third anchor over here, I would really consider that more of a symmetrical triangle. It's just a little too far floating out here. Yeah, paper trend lines are best, Ellie. Absolutely. These are more like plastic trend lines. The amount of trash being generated by trend lines is amazing. Like I said, you could view it like that. I'm not mad at that. But even in these situations, regardless of what you want to call it, this top trend line is the important one. So regardless of whether this is turns into a cup and handle, actually breaks out and just rallies like a typical symmetrical triangle you'd like it to do, regardless of what you call it, the trend itself is the most important thing, and then obviously that would be an early breakout, and our alert is just before that. So I mean, yeah, we're in a situation with higher lows. There is a bit of a tightness. Exactly. Yeah, there is a bit of a tightness there. I wouldn't personally call it a symmetrical triangle without that other larger anchor closer. Like if this were to do it, like if we were like this with that anchor here, that I would like. This to me is something else if you want to get really technical in terms of terminology. So, but regardless, the same top trend line. So, yeah, Sol. Yeah, so here's one where Sol broke the trend line, kind of like Hex is doing, and it's just going sideways through it. So no harm, no foul on that one. All right, next up is DOT. DOT lately has actually been showing some leadership. We talked a lot about this move up here, the tightness of this consolidation, and then we broke out yesterday. We actually caught the breakout during the show, and it continued going. These are some really. There's a small head and shoulders up here actually that I was looking at on a smaller term time frame, and it looks like we are kind of working our way down towards that level. The lower part there is 38.91. We'll see if we get there. I don't need those anymore though. Pretty much goes down right down to the support at 38.66. So DOT, another ecosystem, and I do want to look a bit into DOT and some of their yield farming options, because I'm presenting a course for a company called Block Geeks, and I'm learning a lot more about yield farming. There's some presenters in there that do some yield farming stuff, and so I'm going a little bit deeper into that aspect of crypto. And DOT is one of these ecosystems that has some of those yield farming communities, and so I'm going to be looking into those a little bit more. But that could definitely keep this going up if they get more of that, because yield farming right now, those DeFis, that's really what's running the market. I mean, everything else is second best at best, or just a random garbage pump. Okay, next up, but yeah, with DOT finding support here at 38.66 would be good. I mean, it's basically found. Hold on. Throat not cooperating. It's basically found support pretty much everywhere it needed to. So 28.64, that was our kind of an earlier trend change, and then we had 35.33. That's not what I would consider support. Actually, I would consider support coming down here, kind of on a little break there. That would be support. A little bit of a fake out. Then you got support. This is a bigger breakout from this cup and handle formation, and now we've elevated above even this recent high. So this is in more of a fully fledged breakout. No, I don't have DOT BTC. I'll do it right now. And there we go. We're knocking pretty close to those all-time highs. Sol BTC, Farhan? Sure. Yeah, so we're getting close to those all-time highs. There's probably going to be some volatility up here, but the volume yesterday, I mean, DOT, even early on, we mentioned over here, this had some really excellent volume candles. Really excellent volume. Oh, you want Coin Bros? Oh, you want to talk about capitulation? I got you. I take requests. Remember capitulation? So far, it's held pretty nicely. We did a small undercut, but there you go. There's your capitulation. See? Ask and you shall receive. All right. He always gives me crap about that. I love it. But yeah, so DOT, so far it's held support. We probably will get choppier, but I do have to say, this leg here is really nice. It's very tight action. This pullback, we did the Fibonacci's on this a while ago, and it was, you had this spike below the 50, but pretty tight there. Couldn't quite get to the 50. Most everything pulls back to the 50 or the 61. So not too bad there. All right, next up is Doge. And Doge still kind of chopping around. Not much. This thing usually pumps when Elon tweets. Hasn't tweeted in a while about Dogecoin. Nice move out here, but definitely got choppy. We had a small ascending triangle that got chopped up and then rallied right through almost in the same 24-hour period. I mean, actually it was in the same 20. So kind of a very quick flippy floppy right there. Found resistance at resistance, and our current alert is at resistance. I probably could lower it here. Let's do the 26.29. Not that it's saving anyone a bunch of money, but it's what needs to be done. All right, so yeah, Doge just going through the motions here. There's no major edge on Doge. While we see a lot of these other coins really pumping at highs, we just saw DOT close to highs, BTC, Ethereum really close to highs. Doge is way down here, way down here. XTZ, yeah, we'll look at that when I do USD coins here in a little bit. Yeah, Doge way down there, so not a lot of strength here. All right, next up is Luna. So this one's been tricky. It was trying to go up, lower volume, and this one also, just losing a lot of momentum. Big divergences on the RSI. Very good coin, good yielding coins as well. Whole ecosystem is healthy, but you can see that the volume diminishing, and now we're just chopping around. So I'm assuming some kind of really horrible, untenable consolidation up here for Luna. Until I see some additional volume step back in or some constructive action, which we don't have, this is kind of a no-go for me right now. All right, next up is Uni. Uniswap bouncing back a little bit today. We have the 2603 alert level, was tested yesterday, and it looks like we're going for it right now. How's our volume? Pretty good? Not great. It's okay. It's okay. You zoom out, you can see it's not really that good a volume. And here's another one. Uniswap is right in the middle of this large range. So no major edge here with Uniswap either. We could probably recycle one of these trend lines because we care about the little baby fishes. Actually, I didn't want to delete that one. Try to keep my alerts up there if I can. Yeah, 1992. There we go. If you don't know the little baby fishes references, I grew up in California, and they always used to show fish and everything stuck in those little 6-pack soda plastic things. So to this day, if I buy one of those, I rip them up just in case, because, why not? Help out the baby fishes. So I'm considering these straws. Anyway, 2603. We'll see if that gets broken. Looks like we're definitely going for it. And so maybe Uni will try to break this trend here. Bit of a double bottom base here like everything else. And that actual breakout level is up a little higher. So 2603 is a little bit early. This double bottom base would be right there at about the 2765. So I don't have that as the alert, but if it's still there tomorrow, I will. But right now, our alert is currently on immediate resistance, which we found here. And the ability to bounce back here is pretty nice. Volume aggregation tool likes it a lot, so that's not too bad. But yeah, in the middle of this range, it's hard to have a lot of... your risk reward is basically 1-to-1 from the high down to very recent support, or your most low support recently. And that's kind of your more important breakout. So lots of resistance up here for Uni. And this, just the chop in this chart needs to be worn away. All right, next up is Litecoin. 185.30 is our current alert level. Looks like we just tried it. At some point, this is our current 2-hour candle that we started during the show, and it failed. Just more chop. Litecoin, just choppy. All right, next up is Avax. And Avax, another newer ecosystem. And just also malaising out of trend. Hitting on another trend line, which this one's pretty important. Other than that one, this is your only support. So, yeah, not much going on here with Avax. You don't see a lot of volume aggregation tool. The sellers are fairly steady. The buyers are kind of coming and going, at least starting to. We'll see if we do find some support down there. But right now, I'm not even sure I like that alert. Yeah, it's hard putting alerts on like every coin because sometimes there's just no good one. And here's a situation where you're like, there's really not a great one here. Like I don't want to kind of put it up here because it's too high. You're gonna look at a rise of about 13%, and then it's already too high. Yeah, I don't want to force it. The thing I don't like to do though is keep us chopping around an alert. So I'll leave it there for right now. But yeah, actually no, I will move it up. I'm gonna move it up 58.53. I just don't want to get chopped around. Because here's the other thing: if it does go, and because the alerts trigger once a day, I think this is one of the reasons why I do update these, even sometimes when I kind of don't want to. It's just because if it gets triggered once during the day, it's silenced until the next day. Remember, we used to get alerts like 5 times a day on every coin. So we're not in those days anymore, thanks to Paul, obviously. Everybody thank Paul. But anyway, so 58.53 for Avax, but it's not looking super great. Shiba. Shiba yesterday not looking too bad, actually holding up really well considering what Shiba is and kind of what it's been doing. We actually caught the breakout when it broke our trend line here, and it just kept going really nonstop. And then we finally stopped. We talked about the stalling action up here that day. It pulled back. Now we're just waiting to see how it consolidates. And so far, it's not bad. Yesterday, I was really, really happy with this consolidation because it looked like this. And I'm like, wow, we got low volume here. We're sideways. Trendline break is fine. Let's see if we can hold support. So there's our support at about the 24.76. If that support breaks, it's going to get very volatile. It may try to swing back up. A lot of these do that sometimes. And this one has a little more staying power than a lot of garbage coins. I don't know if this is an actual garbage coin anymore. So we can go to Shiba Swap. We've actually been tracking their total value locked. And yesterday is, as we wait for this thing to load, because it always takes like a full minute to load. Was it 297? I don't know which. I don't date my sheets. So 385, 383, that was down. So I think it was 383. Oh, we're up to 401. Oh, interesting. So it crossed a new threshold for Shiba to 401. So if the value is going to be predicated by the total value locked, and it doesn't have to be, but generally the larger your total value locked, the better the coin, at least stability, not really the price stability, but the better the network is, I should say, because there's a little bit more confidence in that network. So 401's fairly respectable. I mean, fairly respectable. And yeah, it does have a very large community. And in crypto, you can't underestimate that. So this price action holding support is not too bad for Shiba. We do have the alert at the lots of zeros, 3316 level. And this is dollars, mind you. So for, a penny, you can get, was that like 300 Shiba for a penny or something like that? However that math works out. Actually, more than that because it's 24, not 33. You can probably get 400 Shiba. So it's not really buyable at the moment, but it's definitely worth watching. Definitely worth keeping an eye on. I almost want to lower that alert because we kind of held that trend line right there. It's always dangerous in these situations, though. When you see placing an alert towards the middle, I really don't like to do that. If somebody wants to buy there, that's fine, but I'm just going to keep the alert where it is because that's. If the alert was lower, like down here, I'd feel comfortable with the risk-reward ratio, but not with it straight in the middle. All right, next up is Link. And Link 2818 alert really been able to bounce back nicely in the past 24 hours. So this started rocking after the show at 1300. We did the show at 900 right there. So we were here, and this thing, boom, just popped up. I thought about throwing an alert here, but I did not. And we now have the 2818. Well, we still have the 2818, which has been our alert. So a higher low. And looks like we did chop that up a little bit, but not too bad. Small undercut and rally on the trend line. Spent a little bit of time down there, but we're doing okay. Link bouncing back, probably with Ethereum. And just some of the high quality coins bouncing today. So Luna up 4%. Link up 7%. ETH up 5%. All right, next up is Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash is generally a big hunk of garbage. I'd rather be in Litecoin than be in Bitcoin Cash. We do have the alert here at 619.91. Looks like it came up and played around with the trend line once again. And so I can lower this a little bit. Hey, what's up, Ramon? We already did BNB. BNB was over there. I'll circle back for you real quick. 611.17. Bitcoin Cash. Where you at, Bitcoin Cash? There you go, 611.17. All right, next up is Algo. Algo also trying to bounce back back above support, below support, above support. So hopefully it is support. BNB BTC, yeah, sure. All right, so Algorand still kind of chopping around here a little bit. This was our bullish bearish. We kind of were looking at both of these, if I'm not mistaken. Did Cardano already also? You can go back to the 8:15 mark. That's where Cardano is. BNB is at 10:05. I post timestamps after the show, so I write down when I do my coins. It's really a good workflow, guys. I gotta say, having the timestamps. A lot of people watch. A lot of people don't watch the show live. They actually watch it after the fact. I get nothing but very positive feedback on the timestamps. So watch for that after the show. But Algo pretty choppy sideways, a little bit random. I like the higher low. The ability to hold is good, lower volume. So we'll curl up here at some point in time. If you want to buy it lower, I don't like to buy in the ranges. If you find something like this, it looks like it's in the middle of forming a cup, and it comes back down towards the bottom of the cup. If if you're looking for that swing up, try to buy lower. Don't try to buy when it's up like this. Even this alert at 205.66, this is kind of one of those middle range alerts, but that's where resistance is, so I have to put the alert there. All right, next up is Matic. Matic pretty choppy here. Matic's been a little bit choppy, and we're hoping it holds this larger consolidation, which I'm also not calling a symmetrical triangle. This is just what we saw. Monkeytron mentioned it with, was it DOT or whatever one it was? Anyway, yeah, I think you mentioned it, Monkeytron. Whichever one it was. Also not a symmetrical triangle. This is a supportive trend line, and yeah, it almost looks exactly like it. But they're both valid lines. I just wouldn't, like I said, put it in the category of a symmetrical triangle. Yeah, I mean, it's got decent symmetry too. It looks a little bit tilted up. It almost looks like it should rotate down. The tip should be here. So it's a little bit too high. But anyway, so far it's been able to hold. The 116 level has been able to hold. And this 134, I'm on the fence on that one. It's spent a little bit too much time up there. And you're getting close to that. So, you know what? I think I'm actually just going to adjust this here to the 155 for Matic, just because it's going to be close by the time it tries to get up there, unless it just has one of those big spikes, which happens. I'm just going to keep the at 155. I'm going to get rid of this 136 just so there's no confusion. See that one, that very early alert worked out though, and you can see the trend lines in these large triangle-looking things tend to do okay. When they do okay, you can usually respect them like the second time they play out within the base. So, all right, okay. All right, so let's wrap up the top 20 USD coins. Yeah, right now Bitcoin taking a bit of a breather, still losing momentum, still lighter volume, still looking for a pullback, which really hasn't come yet. Last time we had this, we had a small pullback early on, which we haven't gotten, and it almost looks like we're going into this malaise, but this is almost a baby version of this particular rise. The volume is lower. The amount of time that it's taken to get to this type of price action is lower. So it may be I'm hoping we just kind of chop and do a bunch of garbage and go up, but another pullback is likely at some point, but it just hasn't shown its face yet. So if you're worried about that, if a move, back down here towards the 48,000 level is giving you some problems, you may want to make some contingency plans. So, and then you got also this prior breakout at the 52,841, which was an alert right there. Other than that, you've got Ethereum making a good run for today. Some qualities moving back. Sol's up a little bit. Has a bit of a cup and handle feel to it. You've got Luna with a pretty good day today, but not really in any kind of a discernible pattern. Uni's up 5%. And then Link also not really in a major discernible pattern, but popping back up as well. So still, we're still in these major chops, and that's what we've been talking about. It's just all this choppy action. This is a very normal chart today. Even if you go naked chart, you're like, what do I do with this? You're like, well, generally it's bullish, but it's still has some work to do because there's really nothing majorly classical about this particular setup. You look at Ethereum, it looks a little more like a cup and a handle. So that's good. And we're looking for increasing volume on the breakout, which we're not quite getting yet. Maybe this will be the start of it, but it doesn't have to be. And actually, on ETH, a small inverted head and shoulders here. I don't think we have that. Sometimes my lines obfuscate a few things. Shoulder, head, shoulder, just broke out. And volume, we wish was heavier. I wish right now volume was average. I wish right now on ETH volume was average, but not too bad. ETH poking at all-time highs, so we're still seeing quality lift, and that's the theme. Okay, USD pairs. First up is Algo. This wasn't supposed to be a public power hour. Just Dawn asked me. I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? So these are just some of the coins we've been talking about. Some of the coins are just kind of weird ones that I just wanted to look at. Okay, so Algo's been just consolidating this for a while, right around that all-time high breakout. So this one's not too bad. We have a 189 alert level for Algo. If it can get above that, that would be the early kind of trend line break. Lately, though, these have been larger consolidation. So if that breaks up, definitely need some patience on that one. Next up is Cake. Cake, I mean, this volume candle yesterday, and this bottom here. So very high volume in this area. I thought that was the bottoming volume. That's the, see, I made a mistake here. I thought that was the bottoming volume. That's the bottoming volume. Darn it, I screwed that up. So not as bullish, but I thought this was the bottoming volume. I'm like, wow, how did I not notice that? It's because I got it right yesterday and wrong today. So that is not, that's that volume. Let's see what the VA tool says about that. Not painting a good picture. So, okay, not as bullish. Forget Cake. It happens sometimes. But again, see the same picture though. The same picture as we just saw with Link, with Uniswap. Most everything is stuck in this middle range of this larger consolidation. The ones that are higher should be your leaders. So Cake, not a leader, but holding up pretty good. This is, I think, is your one of your top 3 DeFi platform or distributed exchange platforms. Yield farming platforms, also has some NFT stuff. All right, next up is FTM. Where the heck is it? Oh, it's at the bottom. It's at the bottom. Bond, yeah, we can. Okay, Mark said, sorry, there was a couple things. I don't know what Donkey Coin is for. I'm not sure what Donkey Coin is. If you mean DYDX, we can look at that. If you mean Dogecoin, we've already done that. Mark said Ethereum Classic, so we can look at Ethereum Classic. And you say Bond, so we'll look at Bond. You know what? Let's do those right now. I haven't written down a timestamp. ETC USDT. All right, so Ethereum Classic, we kind of stopped following Ethereum Classic as it dropped out of the top 20. Usually when something drops out of the top 20, it has a hard time getting back. You know, sometimes they can, but so that's kind of when we started dropping it. So it put in this cup and then just failed it. Notice we don't have another line drawn since. Higher lows here. This one firmly off of highs. And the reason that Ethereum Classic was running to begin with, and I think it was during this run up if I'm not mistaken, is because Ethereum has Ethereum 2.0 coming up where they're moving completely to proof of stake and away from proof of work. And the narrative was that the people buying Ethereum Classic thought that some people would still want to mine. And so they would move to Ethereum Classic. But when we looked at it, if you look at the Ethereum Classic network, it's basically dead. It's just, at least from what we saw, it was just completely dead. So I mean, I didn't think this would have this pump to it, to be quite honest with you, but it did. So, you know, we'll keep with it if it gets bullish. Right now it's not super bullish. You do have a little bit of, there's a line there at about the 56.16 level. It's got to get above that for any kind of healthy price action. Donkey cheese is the world's most expensive cheese. That is a disgusting fact. Thanks, Monkeytron. Let's take a look at Bond. Oh, you know what? We never looked at, somebody wanted to look at, was it DOT BTC? I never looked at that, did I? There's one of those. We'll do that. We'll do that in a little bit. Okay. So Bond looks horrible. Bond looks horrible. See if we can find some saving graces in CoinMarketCap and see what it does, because I'm not sure. I think I'm familiar with Bond. I've seen it before. Okay, I'm not familiar with Bond. That is not what I thought it was. Maybe it's a stock. FTM's actually next up. So there's the all-time high for Bond. Pretty garbage. Rank 384. It's a little too low to be of good quality. It won't let you post donk. Really? Why not? Why won't it let you? You can't write donk? That's weird. Monkey tried to send me a message in Slack, said he can't post the term donk. Donk, from my understanding, is a car with like 30-inch rims. So, okay, Barnbridge, tokenized risk protocol, fluctuation derivatives protocol for hedging yield sensitivity and market price. Market cap on Bond here. So I've seen this a few times, Blue. And yeah, I think you may have hit it on the head. So they dilute it, brings the market cap up, and the price for the coin itself just does nothing essentially. So there's probably some horrible tokenomics to this particular token. It's very likely what's going on there. You see the increase in volume here, and price just does nothing. Yeah, holders get absolutely. So here's the thing. And I was thinking about this today because I'm in kind of a garbage yield farm right now. You have to use common sense with these. And you see with Algo 2, if you, let's go here. Oh yeah, we still have it. So if you look at, the yield of something like this. So what do we got here? So total epoch, total value lock is only 3.8 million. So this is small. This is tiny. This could get rug pulled. It's definitely possible. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but so if you're hunting for yield, you have to make sure, like if you're getting 100% APY, that your coin doesn't go down by 50%, because otherwise you're break even. And that's where you can use some technical analysis, right? So if you're looking at something that is in an uptrend and you're getting good yield, that's fine. But once it starts to break, you really have to be worried about if you're going to get that value back. And so probably jumping out of there into something more stable or a newer Ponzi is probably the thing to do in that situation. So, if the token's stable, if it's okay, and you're getting paid in that token and you're making some money in that way, that's fine. But a lot of people don't understand the technical analysis side of it to see what Blue was just talking about. And I wasn't thinking to look at this, so I'm glad he mentioned it. But you notice the market cap is up and the price is down to sideways. That means that they're actually printing a bunch of tokens. They're just shilling them out. So they have total supply of 10 million, 4.6 have been printed. And I don't know at what rate. I don't know how that works out. So you kind of have to look into how the distribution of those tokens works to see if it makes sense. What's history? Oh. There you go. Wow, they have some history stuff now. That's kind of neat. AMA with Barnbridge, community with Barnbridge. That's cool. That's pretty neat. Hello, inflation, my old friend. Glad to see you back here again. Yeah. Okay, so Bond, I definitely on the riskier side. There's going to be risky stuff, and this is definitely one of them. In terms of just the token, the only reason you would own the token is probably to stake it and get the yield. If you're not getting the yield, then I don't know what kind of price action is going to save you. Lots of wicks to the upside on the chart. You do have this acting as support. If that falls apart, this thing is probably just absolutely done. So, Bond is some new DeFi, looking promising. No, I'm actually not familiar with that, Blue. Maybe we'll look at that later. Reddit community points like moons. I know Reddit's had some type of currency thing they were trying to do a while back. I don't really do most of that social media currency stuff. I got to be honest. There's just so much that goes on in crypto. I generally just kind of stay focused on technical analysis, but like I said, I'm getting more into the DeFi yield farming stuff, especially with this course I'm teaching. So pretty good. All right, next up is FTM. So speaking of DeFi, that's basically what FTM is right now. FTM has some good yield. I mean, a lot of the projects on there, from my understanding, I'm going to look into these guys later today, as a matter of fact. So, but from a technical side, they've been really, really good. They ran when everything else stalled. I can get rid of that trend line now, and now they have this nice higher, tighter consolidation. Great volume influx coming in. Now we have this low volume flag on the daily time frame. So our alert is 231 for FTM if it can get up. If you want to get in earlier, you're going to want to see some volume increasing and some levels being broken. Phantom at ICO. There you go. Next up is, oh yeah, someone mentioned XTZ, so we'll do XTZ. All right, XTZ, really it's just in a choppy area. It's chopping underneath of what should be a supportive line. Actually, is that line good? Yeah, it's good. It's a little off. There we go. So yeah, XTZ not really putting the good work in, unfortunately. It is sitting up here near highs, but it's pretty wide and choppy. This one does seem to do pretty good on a trend line break. So if it does break a trend line there, you could try to get in on it. It looks like our current alert's at 788. Yeah, I could lower that a little bit if it tries to break the trend, but this trend line right here seems to be right now acting as resistance. So I'll keep it up there because it could walk up the trend line. I don't want to alert arbitrarily on that one. So XTZ, I don't think it's a bad platform, but the price action is, you see, it gets pretty choppy and then it eventually just falls down, doesn't come back. So I try to stay away from stuff like that if I can. We've been really looking for XTZ to come back, but it just hasn't. Like we had the alert at 788, so if you're here, you're seeing some decent volume and it's on the uptrend, like, okay, we're going to break 788 and you break it, that's good volume. That one could have worked. And that one, you can give that one a pass, and then it just keeps going down. So we're looking for some stability. We're looking for something. You got, that trend line break. You've got this as a potential support level. So not quite enough information to say it's super bullish yet. All right, next up are BTC pairs. And the first one up is 1 inch, which is just doing extraordinarily well off of the lows here. We actually mentioned, I had it on the show a couple of days ago. We were right there, bouncing very nicely. We were fortunate enough to catch it after the bounce. So there's 9 o'clock, and you have these candles behind you. So you're in a pretty good spot there. We talked about a stop loss there, about 7%, and really doing pretty good here. Really nice move up. The volume is tremendous on 1 inch today, at least compared to relative recent history. It's about double average volume with 8 hours left to go. I guess 6.5 hours left to go in the day, and it has this great descending falling wedge on it. So we had the alert at 65.27. I'm not going to put it any closer. That recently has been resistance, that top trend line. So anybody into NFTs? Some guys in the Slack chat room talk about it. I don't know how actually they're into it. Maybe they just joke about it, about buying JPEGs. I don't know if anyone's gotten too deep into it. But if anyone has any info on NFTs, shout out. And if you're looking at anything specific, just, we'll just give a little bit more context. If you're into DeFi yield farming, there are some good NFT projects that lots of DeFi people take too easily. What do you mean take too easily? Like they don't give it enough attention, you think? Yeah, not further engage in NFTs. The problem with NFTs is they're just very illiquid. An NFT is just another type of an asset class within cryptocurrency. It's just not liquid. It's like looking at a shit coin that trades like once an hour. How are you going to do it? How are you going to be able to do anything in there? It's very hard to, if you buy, it's very hard to sell. So yeah, NFTs. I think you probably have to focus on that, and that's its own little weird ass world. You're only buying one thing. Yeah, here's the thing. Look, with anything in life, some part, like pretty sure there's a Beanie Baby that's still worth $1 million somewhere. Someone at some point is going to pay $1 million for a Beanie Baby at Sotheby's or something. But that doesn't mean that all Beanie Babies should be bought. Same with NFTs. At some point in time, some NFT is going to get resold for 10 times what someone paid for it, but pretty much everything else sucks. All right. Next up are BTC pairs, and the first one up is AXS, and I think Wheel just mentioned AXS. Where are you at, AXS? Here we go. So AXS with a nice pump today. Volume coming in, a little bit of a cup formed here. Nothing too crazy. We didn't even have an alert on it. Looks like it's coming up to our alert. I thought did I delete that? I thought I deleted that line. Maybe not. Apparently not. AXS. No, it's still there. Must have been another one. Axie has an economy for its NFTs. Are you talking about the Axies? Or are you talking about something else? I don't know what kind of NFTs they have. If you have any information or a good link, I'll be happy to take a look at it. Hey, what's up, Fambe? Yeah, we're still going. Anything big going on? I don't know about big. I mean, I'd say randomly big. It's the coins that pump are now are random. There's no major theme at the moment to the market. So anyway, AXS 2489. It's already up a good amount. And like I said earlier, in this environment, you're probably looking to sell into some profitable coins rather than hold them. But I do have to say, AXS has been supported, and it is supported right there again. So if you see some stability in a flag form, maybe something like this, you can look for another level. But for right now, we're right on top of my alert. So it's hard to buy exactly right there. Just reading there. Collecting and staking and renting the Axies. So so they're a bit like you can stake them. Yeah, stake that. Rent the Axies, I guess, is kind of like staking the Axies for a period of time. Yeah, actually, I was gonna get into the AXS thing, but the stupid gas fees on ETH are so high. Just to do anything, I didn't want to spend like $200 in fees just to get started. Just left a bad taste in my mouth. Maybe it's a mistake, but I don't know. I could still do it. I don't know. Not really my major cup of tea, but you can't argue with the coin here. The coin's been freaking crazy right there. The worst tax mistake you can make? What's the worst tax mistake you can make? Not paying taxes and the IRS finding out. That's the worst tax mistake by a long shot. You don't mess with the IRS. Be consistent with your earnings and stuff. All right, next up is Ethereum. All right, so yeah, Ethereum. Drew, I didn't have an alert down here, unfortunately, but a great pop-up. Great pop-up for Ethereum volume increasing just a little bit. And ideally, this will continue. At least I hope it does. Nice move up on the 2-hour time frame. 3 good candles there. A couple of decent candles there. Aggregation tool flip bullish. What we're looking for now is the sellers to drift away. And we'll see if that happens or not. But Ethereum getting back towards the middle part of this range after coming all the way back down. And our only alert is up here, and I don't have a new place to move it to at the moment. But I definitely had to mention it because ETH is having a blockbuster day. Compared to making huge gains and losing it all before paying taxes. Yeah, that is brutal. I got caught a little bit of that in 2017, to be honest with you. I did good in 2017, paid some taxes. No, I didn't pay my taxes yet because I pay taxes almost at the last minute just because I'm a little lazy with my taxes. Yeah, I lost some gains. I lost some gains after 2017. I have too much fun. I don't take my trading that seriously. I hate to say that, but I wish I took it more seriously, um, but yeah, I got caught up on that. That kind of sucks. You know, I'm not the guy that loses a bunch of money. I just what ends up happening to me is I'll basically at worst I'll break even at worst, and that's what happened in 2017, 2018. Is yeah, some of my trading stuff I had to pay taxes on it, and then it kind of eroded away before I paid the taxes, which kind of sucks. Yeah. Hey, we all make dumb stuff. We all make stupid mistakes. I think it's just the ability to recognize what you're doing and try to not make too many stupid mistakes and stop yourself when you're getting too stupid. How do you need to pay taxes on gains if you're on a loss? Well, let's say you made $25,000 in 2020, and then in March 2020 you lose that $20,000. You still owe taxes in 2020 on that $25,000 gain. It's exactly how that works. It's exactly how that works, and it's pretty garbage. And the even worse thing about it, especially if you're in the U.S., I don't know. This I'm talking about in the U.S. is you can only write off $3,000 of losses on any given year. So if you have a pile of losses, you can be writing them off in perpetuity, unless you do a mark to market. And this is financial advice. Talk to your tax professional, see if you qualify or would benefit from being a marked to market classification with the IRS, where you take gains and losses as income. So if you do have a large loss, you can take it against your traditional salaried income. But my advice is talk to your tax professional about the bigger ramifications of that. All right. Yeah. So Ethereum doing good up here. Hopefully it'll hold up and consolidate, and then we'll be able to have a nice run in ETH. At least back up towards there. I think that would be good. All right. Next up is FTM here versus BTC. FTM here also doing pretty good. Lowered the alert to 37.95. Already kind of went over this one. Good platform. Lots of active users. And I think this will break up at some point in time. But we got the alert. Next up is Polls. I think we looked at this yesterday. I already forgot what the hell Polls does. Oh, this is Polka Starter. Haha. I always forget. I covered too many damn tokens. Polka Starter. Looking pretty good here. Above the 217. I think this is... Did we watch this breakout? Yeah, I think we watched this one kind of go yesterday too. Anyway, holding up really nicely here. Polka Starter, DOT ecosystem. It makes a little bit of sense. It makes a little bit of sense since DOT's, was kind of running, and now Polka Starter's running. Polka Starter is a platform where you can invest in other blockchains that are trying to IDO. So that's what you need this for, I guess. I don't know. I don't do it, so I'm not exactly sure how the platform works. But the token's doing okay. Holding stable, and you can see its ICO high is not too far away. All right, next up is Rose. And Rose doing pretty good. Which one's Rose again? Get out of my 75 barn bridge. I used to know what Rose was. Oasis Network, 174. So not too bad. Yeah, I agree, Blue. I agree. It's getting a bit overwhelming though, especially from someone in my position that's trying to keep up and help people keep up. There's just so much going on. Yeah, privacy-enabled blockchain. Okay, yep. All right, yeah, so this is a privacy-enabled blockchain. Basically what it does, 2307 is the current alert. There's been resistance right there, and it's kind of squeezing up into it. Just squeezing. So hopefully it'll blast off. You see that squeeze? It's usually a good thing. Okay, after that, someone requested Sol. And Sol, unfortunately, is losing some ground due to crypto. Yeah. Or ground due to BTC. So I'm trying to read and talk at the same time. Sometimes my brain doesn't compartmentalize so well. Yeah, look, we had a symmetrical triangle and Sol tried it and just really fell apart. Small cup right there. It's This is looking a lot worse for wear than the USD chart. I usually would take my signals on the USD chart over the BTC chart just because it's a little bit more stable. If I'm looking for something specifically related to BTC or I'm thinking about cycles, I will move to the BTC chart. So, yeah, this one's still not really doing much right now. Definitely some resistance here. There's going to be a pivot point. Not an inverted head and shoulders? No, I don't see an inverted head and shoulders. If you're talking about this, no, it's too Quasimodo, and the volume signature is wrong. I'm not sure, Blue. What is the current fear and greed? Last time we checked, it was 70. I'm not sure what it's at right now. We can look at that in a little bit. But yeah, SOL here with a minor pivot point. I guess I could put an alert there at the 27,609. Pivot points are good. 70, yeah. I think that's why we're so choppy. I think at this moment in time, everyone's ready to be bullish. Everyone is so ready. They don't want to stay down. They don't want to go down. Everyone's ready to be bullish. So when we ran all the way down from 20 up to 70 in, I don't know how long that took, but it was almost a straight up shot in however many days that was. It's we were overly bearish. Now maybe we're overly bullish. I'm not sure how that dynamic's going to play out. We haven't found any major consistencies with using the fear and greed, but on the shorter term, yeah, when you get down towards the 20s, especially 10s. It can be an indicator. 70 is still a little bit low. 80 and 90 is really frothy, but it's just weird using fear and greed. Well, there's a dynamic that I haven't really sat down and figured out. I'm going to timestamp this. You bring up a good point. Something I was actually thinking about yesterday. Hold on a second. Trying to dynamics to Bitcoin and liquidity, I guess. So there's to kind of go to your talk about your point there. There's a bit of a dynamic I think with Bitcoin and the general market liquidity, which is the Bitcoin sentiment indicators, fear and greed are kind of they kind of use that a little bit more than a little bit. They actually give you their percentages. But my point is this: there's a lot of information that I think some people are using. There, look, if I were to have more resources, I mean a lot more resources, I would scour the entire crypto market, and someone's got to be doing something similar to this. You have to scour the entire crypto market, go through all the order books, try to find all of the liquidity. You have to kind of see where people bought, see where people sold if you can track them in that nature. You have to look at the finance rates on different exchanges in terms of the funding rates on the perpetual protocols. Like if you can aggregate all that information and make sense of it, I think there may be powers at play that really kind of say, okay, I think there's this much liquidity at this location, and they try to find ways to get it. It's not market manipulation per se, even though they're manipulating it to their ends, but um, because I mean, we've seen this. We've seen things where like funding rates for bulls are super high and the market just tanks. There's a dynamic behind that, and I think fear and greed is a loose amalgamation of that type of analysis. I don't think it does an excellent job, but it does a good enough job for schlubs like us, right? But I think if I had more resources and a lot more time, that would be an exercise worth looking at, because there's definitely a dynamic. Like the guys in chat use the funding rate. At least they used to back when it was like a bigger indicator. Now it's pretty choppy, so I don't think there's a major spread. But back when there was a major spread, they could time that really well. So if you can do that across the entire crypto ecosystem, I think you can get a really, really good feel for what is the general sentiment and whether there's no one left to buy or no one left to sell. And so when there's no one left to sell, that's when you see these runs come off of the lows. And they're like, oh, there's just no liquidity. Let's just buy what we can get. And then you get these runs off of the lows, and then people get excited, and then they start buying, and that's liquidity. And so they may start selling into that. And that loosely explains some of the dynamics that we've seen. Not exactly, um, not exactly, but I think it's yeah, because like they were talking pretty heavy funding rate up in here. Um, so I think there is some of that dynamic going around. I just don't know to what extent. Complex neural network. I don't. Yeah, maybe a neural network. Maybe it would just be a good algorithm. Um, I don't know exactly. Look, if you could make a dashboard with all that stuff, just like one dashboard, you could say you could look at aggregated funding rates, and you could look at um, liquidity pools at certain levels. If you could aggregate that into some kind of a dashboard, I think you could assimilate it. It's similar to looking at the stock market and looking at ETFs and then trying to figure out intraday accumulation distribution, or I'm sorry, advanced decline, and then looking at the VIX. Like, you can do it. There's a guy that I've been looking at recently, who works for Oppenheimer. He's their head of technical analysis, and he says he goes through 150 charts a day, and he has different chart setups set up so he can see whatever he wants to look at. If you could build a dashboard like that, which is kind of what a Bloomberg terminal does for you, which is probably what he has it on, I think that you could have that, and you could say, okay, this is an area of just low liquidity, and then so you don't do much, and then once it comes back down through an area of high liquidity back down to low liquidity, that's when you start buying again. So yeah, you could. The problem with that, Blue, is that I really think that there's not enough information. I really think there's not enough information in Bitcoin, because it changes so quickly, and you're only going to get funding rates going back so far. And so how many bullish cycles are you going to go for? You're going to have to make it like a program that does that on a 5-minute basis or an hourly basis or a really small time frame. You're not going to be able to do that on a larger macro scale, which maybe is how they do it. But I just don't think there's that much information. Is there ever enough information? Um, yeah. Yeah, there is. I mean, you look at some of the very mature markets. I'm just referring to these funding rates because because there's always new stuff coming online. But there's a way to make sense of it. I'm sure someone's doing it. Someone's got to be doing it at a big scale. So when we talk about fear and greed, that's what I think about. I think about what are all these different secondary and third layer indicators about like the perpetual futures. That's pretty much where you get most of that information from. So anyway, good question, but I've been wanting to talk about that one for a minute. um like a real good dashboard showing all the funding rates, showing inflows and outflows, and you can probably get some of those sporadically, but in terms of aggregating funding rates, I haven't even searched for it, so I don't know if it's out there or not. English, you'll listen to me when I call the top this time. Yeah, well, let's see if it goes the same time it did in 2017. Lately, our cycles have been different, completely different than prior to 2019. Yeah, the new flash loans. I got an introduction to those. I don't know much. I don't remember much about what I learned about them during a presentation, but I think they were interesting. I think I don't know if they took off, to be honest with you, because I don't see them around that much. The flash loans, I don't see them around that much. I haven't. I don't even remember the platform that was doing them. Um, I really don't. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have a great Yeah, I don't have a great thing on that. I thought it was an interesting concept. I thought it just moves too fast. Because is to really put because if you're not familiar with a flash loan, and correct me if I get this wrong, because it's been a while since I learned that. Yeah, milliseconds. Yeah, people have really good bots for flash loans, and others are milliseconds too slow. So maybe it's like a high frequency trader type of a situation, is what it is. So if I remember right, a flash loan identifies imbalance. It's almost like a arbitrage bot. It identifies imbalances and just tries to kind of arbitrage it a little bit. But you borrow money for like a little bit, you trade it, and you pay it back. Hard to do in the traditional markets. In crypto markets, you can do it though. And also traditional doesn't have like micro lending type of a situation. So it just seems like it's like I don't do high frequency trading, and I don't think I'd be interested in flash loans either. Okay, BNB BTC. Well, yeah, exactly, Monkeytron, which is why I'm like, yeah, just better stay away from that one because you're going to get blowed up. Big blowed up. All right, so Binance Coin versus BTC. Yeah, the good volume yesterday. What's our trend line doing here? Okay, now I see it. So we broke through, we broke back up. There's another trend line here for Binance Coin too. Right there. So, okay. Yeah, let's start an alert right there. I like these setups, 8650. BNB 8650. Okay, there you go. So this has a trend line right above the trend line. These parallel trend lines, I generally really like these situations. I think they can be pretty bullish. And with the volume we got yesterday, maybe we'll get a nice breakout from that 8650 level. Oh, yeah, I don't know, Blue. It's just, it's a little bit too risque, a little too far out there for me. Okay, let's take a look. So I got a list of stuff, options we usually talk about. All right, let's take a look at ecosystems. Let me check my calendar. I don't think I have anything coming up till like noon, so let me just double check real quick. Oh, I have a meeting right now. Shoot, I gotta roll, guys. So we did our hour, so I don't feel too bad, but I gotta go. Sorry, I thought that meeting was at noon. Good thing I double checked because I screwed him over yesterday too. So I gotta go. I usually don't run this late. I started late today. I usually don't. I usually do a wrap up. So let me do just a quick wrap up. So pretty choppy markets right now is really what's going on. It's kind of hard to find exactly what's pumping. There's no major setups that are happening. We're still kind of building those foundations. So whatever you're doing, it probably should not be that aggressive. It should be a little bit less aggressive just due to the fact that things pop and then stall. Like the last cycle's examples would be Luna, stuff like that. Current examples like Ethereum's been hit and miss. It's hit today, it maybe missed tomorrow. DOT today, hit yesterday, bit of a miss today. So just be very safe out there. It's not really the environment to just be swinging for the fences. So, all right, guys, thanks for joining me. If you do like the content, please consider the Power Hour. You can get it at my website, real-crypto.com. Smash the like button if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys later. And yeah, comment on the video, and I will also be putting those timestamps in for you guys. All right, have a great day. Bye.